Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We are here with another trip recap on another epic night bite for the month of July.
Yeah, July fishing continues to impress, and these guys on this Joe charter got really lucky. They had some really great fishing. We had morning bites, midday bites, sundowner, like we're watching right here, and we even capped off the trip with an epic night bite on big fish.
There we go. It sounds like a great trip. So, what was working for this sundowner bite here?
We got on a school here right before dark. We threw bait and they reacted to it. And these guys are using their fly line setup still. It's that transition period where the light sort of starts changing, and sometimes the fish will just change their mindset and they'll bite a little bit heavier line. So most of these guys were able to hook fish on like 40-pound tests, a little bit heavier line, and they were able to land a bunch of these fish.
Nice. Yeah, you can definitely see that it's sort of that transition time with the gear. This guy using a Trinks or a bait caster to kind of land these tuna. I'm sure they were growing in size as the night went on.
Yeah, Trank's 500 there, and I think that's about a 40-pound fish. You can see this rod and reel setup right here. Keegan, our deckhand, is pulling on this spinning setup. One of our regulars, Tony, decided he wanted to try the spinning reel setup on a bluefin, and he had to hand it off to finish the battle.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about in previous videos, it definitely can be difficult to really get good pull on the fish to really bring it up. It feels like sometimes that fish is at gaff for half an hour.
Yeah, they kick your ass, these spinning setups. It's really tough to catch big fish on them, in my opinion. I know some guys on the East Coast really love their spinning rod setups. For the most part, what we see on our boats, it's just a challenge. They can't use the rail. These big bluefin here in this deep water are just, they're mean.
So, what were conditions like going into the night bite here?
We had a little bit of wind, which is a good thing actually. When you have zero wind at all, sometimes you'll experience some of those bigger tangles because the boat isn't drifting and staying in place, so those big circles happen. So we had a little bit of wind. You can see not much of a swell though, so it made it easy on the anglers.
So, around 400 gram or so, would you say, for knife jigs?
It was biting everything. 300 to 500 grams were getting bit just fine. The Eddie bombs, those 16-ounce rigged up torpedo sinkers, were getting bit on the big fish down deep. It was chewing.
And what did the school look like when you pulled up on it? What was it showing on the equipment?
Yeah, this was a absolute screen filler of a school. My sonar, it was covering all the way from side to side, and then when we stopped on it on the up and down, it just built on us and stacked on us, where we had solid fish for 400 feet under us basically, and in 500 feet any direction all around us, just fish everywhere littered on us, and they stuck to us really good.
And how did the rest of the fleet do?
Some guys weren't getting them at this point, so we called in a couple of our friends who were nearby as we were approaching our limits. You can see right here, they slid in and they were able to get limits on this stop as well. That's how good of a school it was, how big of a spread it was, and how stuck to our boat it was.
Nice. Yeah, I've been in a position before where we've actually been either handing off a school or have been handed off a school, and it's just, so awesome. You can hear everybody on both boats, right? Just being super excited about getting hooked up instantly.
Yeah, our guys on the boat were screaming across when they would get bit on the other boat, all stoked for them, and it was super, super fun. It's one of those situations that doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, everybody enjoys the heck out of it.
Yeah, definitely something to experience. So I see this guy here. Does he have a slow pitch rod?
Yeah, this is Bruce right here, and he's fighting this 100+ pound fish on a slow pitch rod that doesn't have much backbone. It isn't kicking. You can see he's doing all the lifting with his back here, basically. And this fight took it out of him a little bit. It kicked his butt. And after he landed this fish, he switched back to the heavier rail rod setup to catch his next one.
And I see it's also acid wrap. So can you explain that for some of the viewers who might not know what that means?
Yeah, if you look really closely, you can see the guides on the rod. They go to the right here on this one all the way, and it twists a little bit more for each guide. So when you're like bouncing and jigging your rod when you're trying to get bit, that makes it so your line doesn't wrap and get stuck over the guides. It's meant to fall off of it.
You can see he's trying so hard here to bring the fish from deep color up to gaff, and it's a little bit of a slow process.
Yeah, when it does come up, it just kind of popped up from out of nowhere. It came out from under the boat, and it almost surprised everybody. I think you can see his jig popped out right there.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, it came launching off the fish as it was shaking. It was so hot.
And it looks like he was using this blue and yellow colored jig for the night bite.
Yeah, I think that was a West Coast Jiggers lure that he got bit on there. Another nice one you see circling right by color here
Man,
as the angler tries to finish it off.
yeah, man, these fish look so big in the water.
Yeah, and these guys are using heavy line. They have the right equipment, and some of these fish are just coming up hot and angry. And when they get stuck with that gaff, they are not ready to just give up.
This guy's having good technique here, just winding, winding, winding. Again, want to wind all the way through, and he keeps his rod tip out. You can see when that fish came up out of the water, it turned its head immediately, and that's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, using low speed efficiently there. All these guys have the right setup, rail rod, 2-speed reel, and it makes a huge difference having that right gear to get that boat in, or that fish into the boat, um, instead of getting your butt kicked and fighting a fish for way too long.
I mean, overall, it looks like the grade was pretty consistently 80 pounder or above.
Yeah, great grade of fish. We ended up getting like 30 to 40 fish somewhere in there that were over 100 pounds for these guys. So there was some really nice ones. The biggest one on this trip, I think, was somewhere in like the 170 range. So no cows quite yet on this trip, but some good sized fish.
And we got another yellow and blue jig coming over the rail in that fish's mouth, too. So, seemed to be a hot ticket this trip.
I think, in all honesty, the color just did not matter. These fish were ready to bite. You can see when this one gets gaffed right here, he was not ready to give up and lights up the deckhand.
And even coming over the rail right here, you can see that tail really shaking. Got to be
Yeah,
careful.
so much power. They hurt. Watch your toes. I know from experience.